There are a lot of new things this season. We are part of that as we welcome you into the Washington Football Team Broadcast Network. Julie Doanldson, D'Angelo Hall, and Bram Weinstein. Gentlemen, this is the first time we're at FedExField, the first time for the players as well, because there is no preseason. The only time before Game 1 against the Eagles is today.
Yeah, and I know these guys are getting excited about being in this stadium for the first time. A lot of new faces on the coaching staff and player-wise. And so I know these guys are excited to be in this stadium. There's a lot of history in this stadium, and so I know they're getting real pumped up to get going.
And we're pumped up, but there's something wrong here because in 2 weeks it's going to look this way. Nobody's going to be here. It's really bizarre.
D'Angelo, here we are, the team on the field, no fans. Can you imagine a season and a time playing in the 14 years that you were under these circumstances of COVID-19?
No, I could not imagine coming out and playing actual football games with no fans in the stands. You know, I used to thrive off of that energy, especially being in FedExField. When it got jumping, it got jumping. And so I couldn't imagine not being able to engage with the fans and kind of feed off of their energy. But I tell you what, some of these stadiums, it's going to be a different type of atmosphere going to play in places like the 12s up in Seattle. It's not going to be quite the 12s anymore. So, yeah, that home field advantage definitely is going away right now in the midst of COVID.
You know, Bram, you became a fan of this team at a very early age, and you started out at RFK. And here we are now. You're going to be doing the play-by-play this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's surreal, and I'm really, really excited about it. And when we do this again on the 13th for the first real game, we do my credentials first because they don't stack up to D'Angelo's, and we don't need to talk about the 14-year pro versus the guy who grew up and went to games in Washington, D.C.
There is no competition amongst us right here. But look, we brought D'Angelo in for a reason. The expertise that you have over your 14 seasons. Look, when I first came to you, I said, hey, do you want to be a part of this process? Do you want to be a part of this team in the direction that they are going forward in this new era? And you came around unequivocally saying, yes, I do.
Yeah, Julie, my answer was absolutely. You know, I was honored to even be mentioned in the conversation to hold this seat because I know the guys who came before me. And so the legacy that they have that's not even related to making plays on the football field, I wanted to be a part of that. You know, it was so much unfinished business I felt like as a player that I wasn't able to accomplish on the football field with this team. And now I see all the promise and all the guys and all the, fierce competitors out here. And I'm like, man, I get to be a part of a team again. And so, yes, I could not wait to join this crew. And I'm super excited for the first game.
You wish you had a defensive front like that.
God, don't say that now. If I had a defensive front like that, I'd still be out there because all you got to do is catch them when they throw them.
I was about to say, Bram, I was wondering if he was going to abandon us as we're watching the players take the field and head down there. D'Angelo is not going down the field. You are not putting on pads at all, not wearing the jersey, not putting on the new look, the new helmet. But let's talk a little bit about that. This is 2020 and so many different changes. And no longer are we going by the former name. We are calling ourselves the Washington Football Team, established in 1932. Bram, what does that mean to you?
You know, I have a deep connection to it. You know, having grown up here, that was a hard change for me to get accustomed to be honest about it. I do believe that the time was right. The time has come for them to make a change for a variety of reasons. That said, I think many of us in the fan base, and I'm speaking for the fan base here, it was never intended the way that it was projected upon us. And therefore, I think it was hard to let go of it. That said, what I do like about what I see right now is they kept the nostalgia. And I think that that's important here, that there is going to be a massive change and a new brand and a new direction, whatever the name is going to end up being. But I like the look, and I like that they have hearkened back to what matters to them, which is this is a traditional franchise that has a tremendous amount of history that's important in this league. And what you see on the field and what they're wearing kind of embodies some of that. So I like what it looks like. It feels like old school football because it is. And I think we're all ready to embrace the new, but I'm glad that they're not just letting go of the old.
No, they do not want to let go of the tradition. There's just too much of a storied past here. And what we're looking at right now and what we're going to be bringing you is a practice. The scrimmage will come a little bit later in the second half. But right now the players are on the field in their individual groups. They're going to start going through individual drills. They're just kind of of huddling up a little bit at the moment. But that was important, D'Angelo, was that they kept the burgundy and gold, and that will not change. And one thing that head coach Ron Rivera really stresses, and a lot of the players have bought into this as well, is that while the name is going through the process, and WashingtonJourney.com is where fans can go in to submit their ideas for this, on the back of every shirt, D'Angelo says team. And at the end of the day, that's what this is, a team.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what Coach Ron Rivera is going to bring to this organization. It's that team, family type of atmosphere. And, I was a part of this football team, and so I don't think it was missing that at all, but it's just different coming from a different person. And to have Coach Rivera here, it's a huge honor because he's done so much in this league. I think 2-time AP Coach of the Year. And so Ron has a track record that speaks for himself. And so for these players to hear Coach Rivera speak, they're all taking notice and they're all falling right in line, and that's what you want from a young group of players and a veteran head coach.
Julie, we've had a very strange offseason, obviously, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You've had more access to Ron Rivera than either D'Angelo or I have had for a variety of reasons, and some of which are just protocols that we're not allowed to have the access that we normally would have. You've seen a lot. He's dealing with a lot this year, personally, professionally. It's a new role. He's a team president. He wasn't that in the past. He has taken on a lot, and there's a lot happening with this team, from a name to workplace issues to building a new team to all sorts of things that are being embodied here. What have you seen from Ron Rivera in year one?
Every conversation that I have with him, you know exactly what he means. Like, he's not a coach that minces his words. And that's the thing, as you see as he leads his team out here on the field, that you know where you stand, you know how he's going to be able to get the best out of you because he's very direct with his approach. And also when he's talking with you like D'Angelo, he's talking to you. He has this motto in this memo that says, be where your feet are, be present right where you are. So when you have a conversation with him, you know that he's engaged in that conversation, he's involved in that conversation, and he knows what he's directing his message to you. He has the same delivery to his teammate or to his players out here as well. And as though just about a week ago, as he was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, and as the season begins, he's going to be going through treatments 5 days a week for 7 weeks. He understands that his body's going to take a toll on this, and he's asked his players, you have to step up, you have to have my back, you have to be careful. So it's really kind of brought the team together, and I think in a certain way. But these players are excited to be behind him. And the way that he's led these conversations, even just last week, this practice was supposed to happen on Thursday. And they postponed that because they wanted to have a conversation on social injustice. D'Angelo, players already respected him. But after that conversation, I heard that if anybody had any question, the respect went up.
Yeah, absolutely, because everyone on this team understands the job at hand, and that's to try to go out and win football games. And so for Coach Rivera to take a day from those preparations to say, hey, guys, no, we need this as a team. I want to make sure you guys have the proper platform to get your thoughts out, to get your concerns out. I end up seeing a picture of Adrian Peterson and Thomas Davis, two of the wily veterans, sitting side by side at this forum. And that's what you want. You want those veteran guys helping lead some of these younger guys, because don't make no doubts about it, we do have a young football team, a very talented football team, but a young football team that needs direction for sure.
You've had a lot of different head coaches throughout your career. We always talk a lot about what the coach wants to see from the players when he brings in a culture change, which is happening here. What do you want to see from the coach as a player to know that culture change is something you can buy into?
Kind of the same thing. It's hard for you as a player, especially a veteran player, to hear a coach come in and want to change everything, because sometimes not everything is the problem. And so as a player, you have to kind of gauge that coach and see, hey, is he for real? Is he serious? Is he serious about what he says when he says don't do this or don't do that? And from everything I've heard, Coach Rivera is absolutely 100% serious. What he says is what he means. He doesn't mince words, like you said, Julie, and that's good. That is great for young players, for veteran players, because you understand that coach is going to hold everybody in that room accountable. If you make a mistake, Coach Rivera is going to call you out and try to correct that mistake. It's not going to be in a way that he's tearing you down, but I think he, being a former player, understands every player's kind of situation on a football field. Hey, this guy might need to be, pushed a little harder than the next guy. This guy might need to be loved up. And from players that I know who've played for Coach Rivera, they rave about his ability to know which kind of player needs what kind of coaching, and him ultimately give that player that coaching.
Right now right now players are going through warm-ups, through stretches. They'll be doing this for about maybe 9 minutes or so before they go through individual position work and individual group work. Once we get a little bit later in this, you're going to see some red zone plays as well. So Bram will be calling those. But, another thing that was said about him, Bram, is that he's very steady.
Yeah.
And during everything that we have been going through in 2020, I mean, if you think about it, he comes in to take over. D'Angelo, you talk about not everything's broken. Well, this team only had 3 wins. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed. If that's not a challenge enough, he comes in and then COVID hits. So he's just trying to get to know his team. Doesn't have the opportunity to get to meet everybody in person.
That's right.
And now everybody's locked at home and he's having to meet them through Zoom. And he's trying to pay attention. Well, even when the players first started coming back to the facility, everybody was wearing their masks. And coach even had to say, hey, who are you? Who are you? Because he hadn't met them. He didn't know them yet. And with the masks, it was a little bit more challenging to be able to see. But he's very steady. The team is warming up right now. He will be leading them through this practice, the first one at FedExField soon.
I think there's a reason why he took this job and literally didn't interview for another one, because he might have saw that record, but I think he sees on the field what a lot of us see is the cupboard is not bare here. In fact, in some portions of the team, they are embarrassingly strong with young talent. And I think he knows that coming into year one.
Yeah, and Coach Rivera got to see it live. Remember, this team went down to Carolina and cost him not cost him his job, but it was one of the determining factors. So we can thank this team last year for those 3 wins. One of them was against Coach.
I think he calls it bittersweet. It was bitter at the time, but it is sweet now. By the way, we're talking about new things. I actually recently moved in this new job, and I have to tell you, boy, Victory Van made it so fast, so easy. I was told on Saturday they had rented out my apartment. They wanted the keys on Monday. I said, whoa, you got to give me a second. Called Victory Van on Monday. By Wednesday, I was moved out of my apartment and into my new home. I have to thank the president, Dave Kennedy, for all of his help making sure this was a very smooth transition. I couldn't believe it. 3 days' time, and I was undone. Moved over into my new place. You can find them at their website, victoryvan.com. Well, Acronis, the official cyber protection partner of the Washington football team, protects our valuable workloads and keeps us cyber fit. We have more action coming to you live from FedExField. This is the Washington football team broadcast network.
On the bottom of the bottom, check the sources, baby. I'm mic'd up too today.
Oh, thank you.
So then you know.
I appreciate that.
Talking trash, man. That's what you talking all that trash, man. Got that smoke. We played the Ravens in Minnesota. We was like on a 5-yard line, and it was a zone, inside zone to the right, and I cut. It was wide open, so I kind of like. That's the first time I've ever, and the last time I've ever done that. Kind of like eased up. Ray Lewis. Boom! Bam! Drop it right through the 1-yard line. I said, oh, Lord. But I got hit by a train. Stop! Good guys and bad guys. Me and you. Your mama and your cousin, too. Just keep practicing smart with it like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You still able to get some work in and not overdo it. Run it! Ah.
I see it, Trev.
Best in the game. Oklahoma finest. Get out, get out. Oh, there you go! Let's go! Let's go! This is baby!
Do you play with the chain every game?
Yeah. I'm thinking about switching it up because it done cost me 2 chains. I lost. I had one similar to this one, and it broke off in London. And yeah, and after the game, I realized it was broke and went out there and tried to find it. Had people try to find it, couldn't find it. Then last year, I had a cross that I got made, a little small. It was nice too, and no. Last year it happened during the San Francisco game. So that was like a mud bath out there. No, I'm sure it's embedded somewhere. I might need to go out there with a metal detector and see if I can find it.
And we are back at FedExField. It's supposed to be a little bit drizzly. It looks like it's holding off right now. The team is on the field. This is the first time and the only time they will be at FedExField for a practice, a scrimmage before the season begins against the Eagles. So we're here. Coach wants the team to be able to have a little bit of a feel of what it's like going to be in the stadium before week one does come, because the preseason is not going on. They have about a minute left of warm-ups before they go through individual drills. We are back, and this is presented by Acronis Booth, and this segment is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington football team. So D'Angelo, Kendall Fuller, and John Allen are not on the field they're on the field, but they are not practicing today. John Allen got a little bit into a mix-up yesterday. Went down. The trainers went to the side of him. Head coach Ron Rivera said it's nothing serious, but they're going to be safe, and he wants to be safe because you want to make sure that they are ready for week one against the Eagles. Do the guys get excited? Does this practice really mean a lot for them to be able to kind of get on their home field?
You know, it's different thoughts for different folks. Some guys want to see what this grass feels like. Some guys have never even been in this stadium before, and so for them, it's fun to come and see what it's all about, and put your feet on the grass and get in and out of some breaks, and just kind of see what it's going to feel like to be in this stadium come game time. There's other guys who've been here before. A guy like Ryan Kerrigan, this might not mean as much to. He's been here before. He's just kind of, all right, just another day of practice. Oh, man, we got to come all the way out here to practice. Those are kind of the thoughts running through, different guys' minds. But I'm sure a guy like Chase Young, who's never been in this field for a game, I don't think he has. I'm trying to think about some of these college preseason games.
Unless he snuck in here one night. That's
exactly. I know he's pumped up,
being
grown up right around the corner, right?
Yeah. I want to ask you about preseason. Most of the time the fans rail about preseason. They don't want to see preseason. The reality is, though, for the teams, they don't have it. What do you think is missing this year in terms of preparation for a season by not playing a single exhibition game?
I mean, I think it's really, really seeing what these players do when the lights are on. It's so many players I've come across in this league. You get them in the classroom, and man, they can spit everything out. They know everything. They know exactly where they're supposed to be. You get them on the field in walkthroughs, and it's the same thing. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's like, oh man, he's ready to go out there and make a play. And then you put them in the game, and for some reason, when they hike the ball, it just moves too fast, and that's the difference. In college, let me make an example. In college, as a quarterback, you can drop back, let that receiver run the route, and you can throw it once he's run the route. Essentially, he's come out his break. In the NFL, you have to throw that ball before he even turns his head. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about timing. And so, not every route is run like that, but that's kind of, that's the metaphor. The NFL, you kind of got to throw it before they even looking. In college, you can wait a little bit because the caliber of athlete you're going against, you might can sneak a ball in there.
And Julie, what's really hard this year? To make the team.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make it. This is league-wide. But if you are someone who wasn't drafted very high, who's trying to get noticed by a coach, good luck this offseason.
Well, cut-down day will be coming up on Saturday. And so yesterday, Coach ramped up practice a little bit to do some individual matchups to see who stood out, who is going to be that one. And he was asked, how do you decide? Because of COVID, they would normally have had 90 players. They decided to have 80. The team right now is broken up into individual group work right now. We have the running backs over there doing their works with Randy Jordan. He came on over. You see the quarterbacks in the middle of the field as they're going through their drills, as the scrimmage will be coming up a little bit later. But, it is interesting to see how COVID is impacting all of this. And, well, I mean, it's going to be a challenge. And he said if you're real and if you're honest, it's going to be hard to figure out who really makes that 53.
That's right.
And you're probably going to get some of them wrong. You need some guys to step up on special teams, but without the preseason, you're not going to be able to see that live action. Even today, when they do get to the scrimmage part of it, they're not going to be going full speed. But how hard do you really go in a scrimmage against your teammates, D'Angelo, compared to if it was a preseason?
Like I said before, depending on who wants to be here at practice and who's going to take it serious, some guys have their position already cemented. Some guys are fighting and clawing trying to make that position. I know as an older veteran player, you're always like, come on, dude, why are you going that hard? It's practice. Some of these guys not having the opportunity to step on a preseason field and show these coaches what they got, you best believe every single rep, they're going to be trying to take people's heads off because they know, look, I need to flash now because I do not have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of reps to show everybody what I can do. So, I think you take it as hard as you want if you want to make this football team. You show Coach Rivera because he's one of those guys that he's going to notice you out here flashing and working harder than the next guy.
All right. Can I get to the elephant in the room? Can we do that? What do you expect out of Dwayne Haskins this year? What is your expectation for him in year 2?
My expectations are, kind of mixed because for me, I don't need Dwayne Haskins to go out and be a world beater and throw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. I just need him to show me that he can protect the football and he can do what's asked of him. And I know that's very vague, but I have to feel like Scott Turner won't put too much on his plate initially because like we spoke about, he hasn't had a lot of game time reps when you talk about running this offense in the preseason and seeing how things operate. I know Scott Turner in Carolina love to throw the football on first downs. This might be a team, because of the personnel he has, they're more built to run the football on first downs. And so we won't know a lot about this football team until they actually get out there and play football games to see how they'll attack other guys. But, I expect Dwayne Haskins, he's shown us already by putting in that hard work this offseason that he's mentally in it. Mm-hmm. I take what happened last year to him. I've been in those situations, Bram, where you go to a team or a coach comes in and you're not quite his guy. Yeah. And so you fall out of favor before you even get a chance to really go out there and show him what you got. And I felt so bad for Dwayne. Even when I was doing stuff on NFL Network last year, it was time and time again where, I kind of challenged Jay because I wanted Dwayne to be out there. And it wasn't because I thought he gave us the best chance to win at that particular moment, but I also, I knew to develop a young quarterback in this league, he needs reps.
He can't
the experience. Just see it. Yes,
he needed the experience.
You can't just see the film and think you're going to be able to make those adjustments or see another guy do it from the sidelines. And I've been in a situation where I'm not the guy. It's hard to be attentive and stay focused when you're not playing. I was on PUP, year 14 and didn't get suited up till week 7, and it was so hard for me to stay motivated in the film room, and that was 14-year vet. I know for a young guy, he wasn't locked in at all, so I'm so interested to see what he's going to do because he's definitely showed us by putting that hard work in on his body that he's about this life. And so mentally is the next question.
He lost over 10 pounds this offseason. He said he didn't even necessarily mean to, but he amped up his training. As he said, he cut some toxic things out of his life. He paid more attention to his diet, and he started doing that little extra work in the training to get your body right, D'Angelo, that I think you just have to do on a daily basis when you're in the NFL. That extra soft tissue work, the massages, all those extra things, which comes to being a pro. And the way that he's approached this with his mindset, all the feedback that I'm getting is that you see the extra confidence in him. Yeah. As opposed to last season when he came into that Giants game, he had said, I felt like I was just winging it. And as you know, that's never a recipe for success for a quarterback that's just winging it. But you knew his time was going to come, but he wasn't the focus. He's been the focus this offseason. He is the focus in camp. He has been getting all the time with the first teams and the reps out there because they need to make sure that they get him ready for the season. And he's shown, when you hear other players talk about him, they say you can tell he has command of the huddle. And he has that extra air about him, which is that leadership that head coach Ron Rivera charged him with.
Here's the other elephant in the room. This was an unprecedented offseason for availability of good veteran quarterbacks. This team actively did not pursue any of them, including Cam Newton, who used to play for Ron Rivera in Carolina. So they paved the road for Haskins to not have much competition. And guess what? Alex Smith is pulling off one of the all-time comebacks by any player ever from a devastating injury. So, Julie, at this juncture, what do you know, and at what stage is he at to actually compete for the job?
Look, when he came off the physically unable to perform list, I think right then and there, the mere fact that he was walking, he kept his life, kept his leg, and was trying to come back, he's winning already. When he's off the physically unable to perform list, and we're watching him right now on the field, running around, throwing passes, and he looks good, D'Angelo. He does. Now, he has been in on 11-11, but he's had no contact around him. Nobody's rushing him. Nobody's going to get close to touching him, but you can watch him right now throwing a pass that falls just short of Cam Sims out here. Cam Sims, by the way, has been having another pretty darn good camp. It
has.
just is the consistency, I think, that needs to happen. But what Alex is doing is setting him up. When I chatted with him, it's setting him up for life. No matter what, he's going to be in a better spot. Whether he actually enters a game, is active on Sunday, throws a pass during the season. I don't think there's any competition of anything wondering whether he's going to come in here and take the job over from Haskins. This is Haskins' job. We can just put that to rest. It's been Haskins' job. But what Alex is doing is nothing short of amazing, D'Angelo.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy to go through what Alex went through and still be out here fighting and clawing and trying to be a good teammate for a young player like Dwayne Haskins. That's where Dwayne Haskins is going to progress. It's having Alex Smith week after week be in that meeting room as if he's going to play in that game.
Yeah.
And for Alex to fight the way he has is nothing short of remarkable. My hat's off to him. But like you said, Julie, this is definitely Dwayne Haskins' position. But having a guy like Alex Smith who's been through so much to mentor you, I know Dwayne has mentioned Alex has been like a big brother to him. It's not a rivalry at all. Listen, this is how I would do it. This is what I see. It's like having another set of eyes, and a young player can't have enough eyes seeing what's going on the defense. And Alex has seen everything you can throw at a quarterback.
And we can't say enough of what he did for Pat Mahomes. And Haskins is wise enough to know that wherever Alex is, he can learn. Even when Alex is taking passes, Haskins can sit back and look and watch what he's doing and learn from him. And Alex is happy to take on that role, even though he says he's on his own path. Haskins is on his own path. So don't twist it and think that there's anything between these two that would have any sort of friction in the quarterback room. 2020 has been very challenging on many levels. And especially today, we have to take a moment to honor the legendary John Thompson as he lost his life. He was 78 years old. He would have been 79 on Wednesday. 27 seasons he coached at Georgetown. He won a national title there as the first African-American head coach to win a title in any major sport in Division I, which is just outstanding. As well, he also had 3 Final Fours with them. He won that title in '84, and he won 2 titles with the Celtics. Bram, what a loss of a legend.
It's a privilege to be sitting here with you all and doing this today. I also had a privilege in my career of working with John Thompson when he was in the media, when he hosted a show. The word coach to me minimizes what he was and is. He was a father. He was a mentor. He was an amazing presence. He was unmatched. And I think about what's going on in our country today, and I really would like to hear his opinion on all of it, because he was one of the wisest individuals I've ever met and encountered, and he will be missed greatly, and he is a legend of this community and his sport. R.I.P. Coach. I love you.
Yeah, and I didn't get the chance to actually know Coach Thompson, but just the effect he's had on myself and many other people from where I'm from. Everyone knows I'm from the 757 area, and watching Coach Thomas reach out to a guy like Allen Iverson when he was in trouble and pull him up, if it wasn't for Coach Thompson, a lot of guys from where I'm from wouldn't have thought they had a chance in hell to get out. And so for Coach Thompson to do what he did, like you said, Bram, he's not a coach. He is a dad. He was a dad to Allen Iverson. I'm a good friend of Allen's, and so I know the effect he's had on him as well as countless other guys from where I'm from. And so for that, Coach, we love you, man. R.I.P.
Our thoughts and prayers are, of course, with the Thompson family. We'll get clearance pricing during the Honda Summer Clearance event. See your local Honda dealer today. More action coming to you live from FedExField. This is the Washington Football Team Broadcast Network.
Mike?
No. Why do you ask? Why do you ask, John?
Are you mic'd?
Why do you ask? It's on the back.
Who's on the other end of this wire? Who does number 2 work for?
You try to look out for your guys, and this is the treatment you get.
Red 33. Red 33. Hut.
That was a good hard count there. That was a good hard count, Coach.
Come on.
Got to make them feel the thunder, you know what I mean?
Yellow ball. Hut.
I ain't never been a good dancer, big man. My main thing is I'm just trying to focus on taking a direct pass, like staying on the line, and then adjusting on the fly. Like, you know, if the tackle's real aggressive, then you got to use your hands a little more. But if he's kind of passive, like Coach says, you got to make him feel that thunder, you know. I think the main thing is just having a low, fast get off. Like then you kind of react. I mean, it's tough to predetermine stuff because you don't know what kind of set you're going to get. So. I had a good one on 78 in that red zone. I had a good long arm on him. See, it's surprising to me because I thought he looks skinny. You know, you think like, oh, he's 6'8" and skinny. I'm just gonna bully him. And his hands are so high; they're hard to chop down because it's like you can't like chop up here.
It's almost like you got to swipe.
Yeah.
Ready? Somebody! Cut!
He was like, I was in my head. I was like, should I? Nah.
You heard that Mortal Kombat voice talking to you. Finish him.
I don't care what they say about you. You're still a good man.
Thanks, man.
And welcome back into this very special live practice coming to you from FedExField. This is the Washington Football Radio broadcast team. We are sponsored here by we are in the Acronis booth, and this segment is brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. If we're talking about what we're looking at right now, Bram, they just finished, it looks like, individual work and group work.
Yep.
And we're going to be able to see some matchups coming up here.
Yeah, they are just finishing up group work, which they go into individual work, which I'll let D'Angelo explain because he probably did this 8 million times in his career. But all the groups are together, and there are a few of them that I think are of particular notice. We're about 7 minutes away from them going out and running what will be a series of red zone plays, and then eventually other plays that they will just call first and second down plays from other portions of the field. And so we'll give you a taste of what's happening on the field when they go to that. But of the units that seem to be of real interest here throughout the summer, the running back unit, where they have a plethora of options and appear to be setting up to have multiple formations with multiple different combinations. I think it's hard to know what's going to be utilized here early by Scott Turner's offense.
And that would be the point. He's even installing a couple times where you'll see a couple of backs on the field at the same time. D'Angelo, if you were a defense and you're looking at what Scott Turner's trying to do on offense and you're saying they can establish the run early, they have a lot of backs as well that they can throw to. That is something that they really like. They brought in Antonio Gibson. I think he split his time from where he came from in the wide receiver room and the running back room. He is going to be with the running backs. J.D. McKissick they can throw to. Of course, you have Adrian Peterson coming back, Peyton Barber. And so how confusing and how is it that they can work this in and try to trick the defenses a little?
Well, you saw a little bit in Carolina what Norv Turner was able to do, incorporating in a guy like Christian McCaffrey, right? Scott is the same as Norv when you talk about this, his offenses. They're trying to find out what we can do great, and we're going to highlight that. And obviously, like every other coach, what we don't do very well, that's what we're going to try to not to do as much. As you look on the field right now, they're doing one-on-ones, the running backs and the linebackers. And Bryce Love just ran a route right there that dropped Reuben Foster to his knees. And so when you talk about the effect that Bryce Love can have in the passing game, he's a guy that from the moment Washington drafted him, I was high on him because I knew what he did at Stanford. And I also knew what Christian McCaffrey did. And so to me, I'm like, wow, this kid can kind of have somewhat of the same impact. And so it's going to be very interesting because when you don't have a lot of pass catchers on the outside, what do?
Right.
And we saw New England do it for a long time. You work with the inside. You work with your tight ends, your slot receivers, and your running backs, and you try to create those kind of matchups because 9 out of 10 times those linebackers and safeties aren't going to cover as well as receivers, as DBs, so why even try to go out there and argue with those guys? Antonio Gibson just takes another guy on a deep pass down the sideline for a touchdown, and so that's what you're going to see. I can remember New England doing that to one of our linebackers when we went up there, a wheel route, and they ran it about 3 or 4 times.
That was on Jared Norris. Khaleke Hudson, which they also drafted, just broke up a pass that was tried to get to Adrian Peterson as well.
Yeah, I think the two names in the running back competition right now that I think are most intriguing are Gibson, the rookie, where he has a tremendous upside, not just as a runner because of his size. He's almost as big as Adrian Peterson, but he obviously can catch passes as well, where some people thought he may come out and be a receiver. He's going to be used as a running back. And the other one that's very under the radar is J.D. McKissick, who early in camp is getting a lot of opportunity, is coming out of the backfield, and he has this prototypical look, D'Angelo, of that quick-moving running back that runs very crisp, short routes, and then he's able to make plays after the catch. I think he'll be utilized early in the season.
Oh, absolutely. He has that wiggle like a slot receiver, and we saw him a couple plays before get out there and give a guy a dat, which he went in, ran in, and then quick feeded him right back out. And so he's a guy who absolutely is going to be a difference maker when you talk about in this passing game. It's just where does he fit? And at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are going to make this team by what they can do on special teams, because you got, everyone wants to go out and catch balls and score touchdowns. But when you're a young player in this league and you have some established players in front of you, you're going to make this football team on special teams, trying to give maximum effort and help out wherever you can.
Adrian Peterson just caught a pass there, beating out Sean Dion Hamilton. But J.D. McKissick, this is his fourth year. He signed a 2-year deal, and they really like him. They say in certain situational packages, Bram, that he will really prove to be useful.
Yeah, well, you know what he looks like? I mean, this is way too big of a comparison because Alvin Kamara has been outstanding in his first couple of years.
You just see number 41 and you talk about Alvin Kamara. But I don't know.
The bar pretty high.
Well, my standards
maybe a little too high. Let's
way too high.
Temper that just a little bit. Hey, if he does, nobody's going to argue against it. You might look like a genius.
Maybe. There's one other position group before we get into them going into 11 on 11, which should be happening here in about 90 seconds, is the cornerback spot, which actually has a tremendous amount of experience with it. And I'll tell you some of the people, D'Angelo, that have really stood out here. Ronald Darby has had a very good camp for them. Kendall Fuller, of course, they brought back on the contract in the offseason. Jimmy Moreland seems to be kind of growing into a role. And Fabian Moreau seems to be comfortable, albeit with an injury last week, in growing into a role on the outside. I think the secondary is a little stronger than I think people on the outside know.
Yeah, and the secondary also is going to have Big Brother, which is his defensive front. They're going to always have their back. And so I don't worry too much about this secondary. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. When you watch some of these young guys go out and play, even though Jimmy Moreland just got beat on that little corner route right there, but even earlier watching Ronald Darby go out and compete, he's a guy that I follow ever since he was at Florida State. And this kid can play the position. It's just, can he stay healthy? And it seems like we say that time and time about different guys. But, yeah, Ronald Darby from the top down, he's a smart football player who understands what he's seeing and can play different coverages. He's played with some great defensive coordinators, so you don't worry about that. And so this kid has all the ability in the world. It's just, can we keep him healthy? But when he's healthy, he is an absolute difference maker for you.
And he's going to be motivated in week 1 going up against his former team, the Eagles. Fabian Moreau was moved last season to the outside, and that's where he likes it. At UCLA, he was on the outside. He said that's where he's more comfortable. Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, told me they're going to keep him right there. But they like a lot of the players that are versatile, that can play in multiple positions. And you see them in Jimmy Moreland. Typically, last season was mostly in the slot, but they're using him in a lot of spots and moving him outside as well, because they say, look, for some reason, Jack Del Rio told us that he has a knack for the ball. It seems that no matter what, it's always right there. It's on his nose. He just seems to have that aggressive mindset, too, of not being afraid, even though he is a little bit smaller. He went to JMU, a smaller school. He is somebody that I think will really emerge in this defense.
Yeah, and the other name, too, that's I think somewhat been a surprise so far is Troy Apke has gotten most of the reps at the starting safety next to Landon Collins. They brought in Sean Davis from Pittsburgh. I think the thought was he was going to kind of slide right into that. That's turned into a competition I don't think any of us really expected.
I was asking about Apke, and of course we know he is fast, but they said that he's been taking better cuts and better lines now, and the scheme should be something that's kind of helping him. Same as Greg Stroman, because we've seen these guys for a couple of years, but they're really splashing in camp, and coaches tells us to keep paying attention to them. By the way, Washington football is brought to you by FanDuel. This season, FanDuel is introducing Best Ball, the simplest way to play season-long fantasy football. New users can get an instant bonus of up to $500 with their first deposit. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Washington.
Here we are, rookies. They just ran their first play, and we missed it. Do you really realize that we just missed our first 11 on 11 play?
This is our first one.
Crowd noise
a little bit. I heard the pumped up crowd noise coming in, but I was supposed to get that read in earlier. So everybody, it's a process.
15 red zone plays is what they're going to run here. They've already run one, which was an Adrian Peterson touchdown. So we missed our first touchdown call. Fake handoff to Peterson. He throws left to a wide open Terry McLaurin, who no one's tackling anybody. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bram, I don't know if that last one, the AP, was a touchdown. Everyone's just tagging
Hands
off
back.
At this point, trying to keep those guys healthy. And, like you said, that pass was to the slot receiver, Terry McLaurin. You definitely don't want to touch him. He's the most explosive player on that offense.
And if you're curious, the left side of the line, which is going to be something we'll be watching throughout the summer, it's Jaron Christian and Wes Martin, or the left guard and left tackle combination. That would have been a false start by Morgan Moses. That pass by Haskins to Terry McLaurin over the middle at the 5, off his hands and incomplete.
Yeah, and Troy Apke took a great angle breaking on that, but I'm over here jumping out my seat because anytime as a DB you see a ball tipped up in the air, you feel like it's free candy. Somebody has to go get it, and so I'm jumping up for Troy to catch that tip pass. But, he took the proper angle. Yeah, Darby on the coverage. He was locking him down on that play.
And I guess they've seen enough of the red zone. They've turned it over to Kyle Allen and company here for the second drive from the 20-yard line. And here is Marcus Ball, the backup tight end in motion. They hand off to the rookie Antonio Gibson off the right side. He would have gained about 5.
Yeah, and just standard procedure. This is, you said, Bram, it's going to be about 15 plays. Typically, you get 4 from the first team, 4 from the second team, 4 from the third team, and then you send the starters back in for 4 more to kind of end the period, depending on if coach likes the play result or not. And so all of this is scripted at this point. Like we say, even when they move the ball, it'll be because they preset where they're going to put that ball at.
Yeah, at some point they're hoping Sadiq Charles will be playing at left tackle. He's been injured throughout the summer. He's not out there today. And here's Allen throwing a short pass, nearly dropped by Cam Sims, but gathered at the 11.
Consistency for Cam Sims is something coach is saying they've been looking for, because he has flashes. He has those big catches, but then he has moments just like that where he almost drops the ball. By the way, did you know? All right, see, I'm still being a rookie. I got my read, and I thought I was going to go. I didn't want to miss another play, Bram.
So out of the huddle comes Kyle Allen with the rookie Antonio Gibson to his right, the summer star Cam Sims wide out right, Isaiah Wright left, and the snap to Allen, who looks over the middle to Sims, off his hands,
and he caught the tip
off.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, guys. Way to catch that tip. That's what I'm talking about.
Cameron Curl caught that one.
Yeah, the rookie Cameron Curl, drafted in the 7th round this year, picks off the pass off the hands of Sims.
Got to catch those passes, man. That was a little bullet in there, a little strong. But, as a receiver in the NFL, you have to come down with that tip because when you don't, that's what happens to tip passes, especially down in the red zone. They get intercepted.
All right, so the third team does make it out here for their first drive of the red zone drives for the Washington football team, and it's Steven Montez who is now under center for Washington. Third team line out there. The running back is Bryce Love. And there is a plethora of receivers, 2 right, 1 left, and here is Montez under center. Fakes looking right, hands off to Love, who cuts back through the middle, and if he wasn't tackled, would have slid in for a touchdown.
Hey, Love reminds me of Dalvin Cook. When I just watched the subtleties of his movement when he's got the ball in his hands, and I kind of can, it's almost like I'm peeking in his helmet. When I see where he ends up cutting to. Gosh, he got movement like Dalvin Cook.
It's hard to imagine one running back is going to be left on the outside this season.
Yeah.
Just way out left, a handoff once again to Love, who breaks down. They're going to call him down around the 10-yard line. So they'll call for a third, and they'll give him a first down at the 10 there.
Yeah, Bram, you shouldn't even try to go first down, third down. Like I told you, they are script. I see the guys over here with the chains, and they got the script right in front of them. I used to steal that script all the time in practice.
This is the first time we're doing this.
Gives you an advantage?
Absolutely. Let me know where I'm going next.
This is the first time we're doing this. At least play by the normal rules so we don't get confused.
Exactly, right.
Here's Montez in the gun. Peyton Barber takes the fake, throw to Jester Way at the 10-yard line.
Yeah, just a little spacing route. You can just see this offense is trying to just be as vanilla as possible, just trying to work on just base routine plays down here in the red zone. Dwayne Haskins and the ones are coming back onto the field, so let's see if we can get it ramped up a little bit, guys.
Yeah,
last season, Dwayne had 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the red zone, so that's a trend that you want to see continue.
Out left is Steven Sims in the slot, and Dontrell Inman, the newcomer, at the 10-yard line is where they're going to set up this drive in the red zone. Terry McLaurin is out wide right. That's Peyton Barber behind Haskins, who takes the handoff to the right. That was blown up by Chase Young.
Yes, it was. You talk about Morgan Moses, you know, the wily veteran. He's walking back to the huddle like, God, dog, I didn't know they made dudes like this. Because you see Chase Young, I mean, and he is one of the biggest dudes on the football field, but probably one of the most athletic, too.
I got to tell you, in terms of first impressions, he wows you. Like when he's been on the field, just in his presence, his size, and then there have been a couple of viral moments have already happened in practice.
Even his play. And, you know, the thing, you know, I'll let you go ahead and get this play out, Bram.
Well, here's Haskins in the gun, a handoff inside to Barber, who tries to find a hole, cuts to the outside. Check that. That's Adrian Peterson.
Yeah,
Adrian Peterson to the corner.
And they run a little version of the read option. Dwayne probably should have kept that. He'd have probably had an easy run into the end zone. But what I was going to say about Chase Young, the thing that really gets you going about Chase is everything that people have said about him has been true. Saying he's the hardest worker, because most guys that you see that are that physically dominating, they don't work very hard. They are kind of lazy. And so for Chase to come in here with the work ethic that he has as a young player, I see this dude dominating the National Football League.
Ball snapped to Haskins from the 3. He was looking for Marcus Baugh in the end zone, and that was tipped away incomplete.
And Chase Young again applying pressure. He works around the edge of Morgan Moses and constantly is applying pressure. Like I said, Bram, the best friend of a defensive back is a great pass rush. And watching Chase Young just motor around that edge 2 times in a row, I'll tell you what, I can't wait for the season.
You know, they plan to line him up on both right and left side, but no matter what, they say he will be on the field a lot, and he should be.
And you're telling me Philly got problems at offensive line? They better go call somebody.
They got problems with Carson Wentz right now, too, who's injured. The backups are back in. They set the ball at the 10 for their second red zone drive. It was a handoff to McKissick off the right side. Yeah, Philly's got a lot of injuries, a lot. On their offensive line, they lost their left tackle, who was the replacement of Jason Peters, who may now be playing left tackle again after they re-signed him to be a guard. There's injuries at receiver. Carson Wentz has missed time. There's injuries on the defense. They're not going to come in here 100%.
Nah, they won't. But, you know, Philly always finds a way to make it happen. Last year when I thought they had no chance to win that division because of the talented Dallas football team, Philly still came out and won the division. So them having a couple injuries, I know they're going to still come out and play hard NFC East football. It's up to us to take advantage of those weaknesses.
Well, there you go. This practice is over, but we will be back here in just 2 weeks, September 13th, when the Washington football team takes on the Eagles. This is our warm-up, and we have a little bit of work to go, a little bit of time, but before we know, D'Angelo, it's going to be for real.
Yeah, can't wait.